Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
Satnam Shri Vaheguru Sahib Ji. Farida Kale Mende Kapade Kala Menda Ves Gunhi Parya Main Firan Lok Kahen Darves Tu Dariyao Dana Bina मैं मछली कैसे अंत लहाँ जह जह देखा तह तह तू है तुझते निकसी फूट मरा हमरी गणत ना गणिया काई अपना बिरद पछाण अपने दास की आप पैज राखी सदा सदा रंग मान साचा साहिब सद मेहरबान बंद पाया मेरा सतगुर पूरै होई सरब कल्याण जियो पाए पिंड जिन साजिया ਦਿੱਤਾ ਪਹਿਨਣ ਖਾਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਾਸ ਕੀ ਆਪ ਪੈਜ ਰਾਖੀ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਦ ਕੁਰਬਾਨ ਡੰਡੌਤ ਬੰਦਨ ਅਨਕ ਬਾਰ ਸਰਬ ਕਲਾ ਸਮਰਥ ਡੋਲਨ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਡੋਲਨ ਤੇ ਰਾਖੋ ਪ੍ਰਭੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਸੀ things that we spoke about yesterday ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ so I'm going to ask again similar things that I've been asking previously and then today we're going to be going through a little bit backstepping so we spoke about in the beginning Tarmi we spoke about worthy and unworthy students Vidya Kameya we spoke about the physical, we spoke about the non-physical, we spoke about Tat, Tavang and Is, Ishwar, Brahma and Jeev, we spoke about Jad Roop, we spoke about Karm, we spoke about Param. Those are the main things that we spoke about. We spoke about Gyan, we spoke about Vivek, Sachai te Jhoot, Nashwant. My question to you guys now is before we begin speaking about what a sadhu is, we're going to take a step back and speak about sadhu de lachan ki han. We spoke about how we want to have that prem, how we want to have that virag. We spoke about the milap slightly in very brief terms. But the main thing that I want to focus now is that you guys are students, right? I'm every student here, right? And ultimately we're all Sikh, which is essentially means we're constantly taking the Gyan or the Vidya to remove our andhera, remove our doubt. So then once all doubt is removed, then we're just one with the Paramatma. That is the whole meaning behind Sikh. A Sikh is somebody who's actually learning from their Guru. And somebody who's learning from their Guru, meaning that they're listening to what the Guru is saying. Not just saying that I'm a Sikh, I'm a student of my Guru, my teacher. That I'm not just a student of my teacher, but I'm actually listening to what my teacher is saying and I'm actually following that as well, right? Whether my mind follows it or doesn't follow, that's a different thing. Where you have to kill your own mind, that's a whole different topic. But sadhu the things to look for in a sadhu, qualities of a sadhu and the things that obviously you want to implement into yourself as well, about what sadhu is and what is the phal of sadhu and the sangat. What kind of things do you get out of sadhu and the sangat? But before that, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Explain to me what a param is. I know everybody was just writing down papers and memorizing their notes from yesterday. Param, a doubt. Okay? Param is a doubt. Param is when you are under the illusion that there is two. ठीक है? ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੇ when you're in duality. Param is when you see something else but you don't see yourself. You don't see a Kalapurk. You see two. You see you and me. That is Param. Or Param is when there's not complete Gyan, when there's not complete light, where you can't see fully, where something is not clear. Just like the story about the lion and the well. और मेरा दूसरा सवाल है I want you to explain to me the concept of Tat, Tavang and Jeev in a just very sankhep form. Tat, Tavang and E, sorry. Hanji. Hanji. Yeah. So Jada Braham Swarup. What is the form of Braham Swarup? Satchit Anand Swarup. ठीक है? Then Chetan Swarup की ਹੁੰਦਾ. What is Chit? Chetan. Alive, alert, aware. Right? Conscious. It's not dead. It's alive, complete, alert. ठीक है जी. So the things that I want to speak to you guys now. Before we get into that, I want you to tell me the 6 things that a unworthy student contains and describe them to me. An unworthy student. Hanji? Hanji? Ego ta hegi hai, ankari. Sukhi, vyadi, alasi, kamat, rasik, bohosoi. Right? So those are very important to know. Sukhi, somebody who's completely already thinking that I don't need to learn. Vyadi, meaning that they're rogi. They're not in a state to learn physically. Kamat, sukhi, vyadi, alasi, they're very lazy. They're not willing to put in any work. If you're just sitting there and expect everything to be spoon-fed to you, then that is the sign that you're not actually going to be that successful in your studies. You can't expect everything to be spoon-fed because a lot of the learning, it comes from when you are doing something. I've shared this before, the pavna and the thing that you need to have. Mahampurks, they used to tell one of their gursiks or their students to go stand somewhere and wait for me there. And no matter what you do, don't move until I come there. They wouldn't come for 5 days. And they would just stand there. And these are the tests. When we go into the books historically about even Mahampurks 30 years ago, Mahampurks 40 years ago, Mahampurks 100 years ago, and you read their Jeevanis, you'll be like, how did their Mahampurk teach them? How did their Sadhu teach them in such ways? How did they actually break them down and kill their mind completely? And when you read into Ityas, how did Guru Nanak Dev Ji, what were their conversations with Bhai Lerna Ji? How did they completely break them down that there was nothing left except the Guru shining through them? Because they were the Guru. They gave him the Gur Gaddi. Right? Guru Nanak Dev Ji came, they beat Bhai Lerna Ji. They yelled at Bhai Lerna Ji. They told Bhai Lerna Ji to jump into sewers. They told Bhai Lerna Ji to go do something, and then even while they're going to do something, while they're walking away, they said, who told you to go do that? They yell at them. Right? Test their patience. Sahansilta. That's one of the things we're going to speak about. Right? Told them that you go, basically you've all heard this story, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji told Bhai Lerna Ji, go shake that tree where you can clearly see there's no fruit. Go shake that tree so fruit comes out so we can serve it to the Sangat so that everybody can eat. We've been walking for a while now. When they started walking towards the tree, because nobody else said, Maharaj, it's clear, the tree is right there. You can clearly see there's no fruit. Bhai Lerna Ji started walking towards. Guru Nanak Dev Ji yelled at them, who told you to go walk that way? Why didn't you just stand here? Bhai Lerna Ji, instead of turning around, like, what do you mean? You're the one that told me. Right? Are you crazy? Everyone said that Guru Nanak Dev Ji has short-term memory loss now. They're very old now. Typical things that you would say to a bujurg sarir, a bujurg body, old body. But Bhai Lana Ji turns around and starts saying that, nahi, I don't know. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm blind. You guide me. See, even these words, everything that they say in these sakhiyan, it connects to what Guru Nanak Dev Ji is actually trying to say. Not just I'm lost and you tell me where to go. That sharda, that prem, that desire is there, that right intention, but without that understanding of what it truly means to be lost and what the true agyan is, oh cheez samjh nahi aandi fir. Next time you hear sakhiyan, you'll be able to take the literal arth of it as well, and the metaphorical antariv, and you'll take the rahas out of it. Rahas meaning like the in-depth, the point, that the overall point that Maharaj is actually trying to make. That's not like the literal meaning. It'll give you guidance in your physical life. Antariv, that'll be nice, metaphorical, and it will still give you guidance, right? But to vanquish that true agyan, what is Bhai Lana Ji actually saying when I'm lost, I actually don't know, right? Because obviously they do know that I'm walking towards the tree. But they actually, what they're saying is that I still don't know, even though I might think I know. I think I might have thought that I'm following everything in the right way, but still I don't know. You are the one that's supposed to be guiding me. What is that true direction? You cannot be lazy in that form. It's not going to be spoon-fed to you. You cannot expect it to be easy. ठीक है? संतान ने महापुरखों ने जाके किया सी, go stand in the parkarma of Darbar Sahib and wait for me. Didn't show up for 4 days. They went, that Gurmukh stood there, that Gursikh stood there, waiting. I mean, he didn't even move back and forth. They just took jal that was in the prakarma, they served jal, drank water, and just stood there in the prakarma waiting from them, right? Jinne bhi Maharaj ne jo jede park kite, all of those things are there. Your ustads will even, or teachers will even put you through slight things. You might not even realize you're being tested in certain ways, but they will do that. This is how things get broken down. They might tell you to do something. I'm just telling you, I'll show you something in my personal experience, right? I was standing there and there was another Gursikh beside me. We are standing there and the Mahapurakh, it tells us to read this Pangati. There's Kabir Sutta kya kare jag roe pe dukh jaka basa gurmai so kyon sove sukh. There's no way I can forget this Pangati now, no matter what happens. Reason being, because we stood there, first we read it a few times, we were reading it off, we had to write it ourselves and we had to read it again and again. But obviously when you're standing there for, let's say, 12 hours, who knows how long it was, standing there, the Mahapurakh says, main soon lagga. That Mahapurakh barely used to sleep. But that day they slept and just slept and slept, right? While they told both of us to stand there, right, and recite that Pangati. Again, so while we were reciting it, we made a tune for it. Kabir Sutta kya kare, jag roe pe dukh, jaka basa gur mohe, so kyon hove sukh. Kabir Sutta, like we were just reciting it over and over and over and over again. Barang kante nange, but in between that, Mahapurakh would be sleeping there, and just right in front of us, we'd be standing there in the living room. Mahapurakh Pai, and we'd mess up one tiny siyari. Right? Instead of Kabir Sutta kya kare, we say kara, or something like that. And in the midst of that, like you'd hear the Mahapurakh snoring slightly asleep. We'd be like, oh, they're not going to notice. And as soon as we make that mistake, the Mahapurakh yells, he's like, Sutta maya ke tu sutta ya? As soon as they hear that, right? The parks that they put you through. If we were to sit, we obviously just knew, we had this feeling. We knew that if we sat down, we're going to get beat if we even stopped reciting it. Right? We could have just been, oh, it's 2 hours, it's been an hour. Mahapurakh is probably sleeping. If they were awake, they probably would have told us to go relax as well. But they park kar deya, right? They want to kill your mind. Things, I'll tell you this one other thing with the same Mahapurakh. The Mahapurakh said, wake up at 2 a.m. First thing that we're going to do, obviously, after reading Bani and everything, we're going to go straight to the gym. Right? We went straight to the gym. Right? And before one of the Singhs starts putting on shorts, he's like, "Ye ki karna hai? What are you about to do?" So he says, right, put your bana back on, tie your massive damalla, let's go. Right? So there's a whole bunch of us, and we're 2 a.m., we're in this 24-hour open gym, right? And we're working out. We're doing our thing, right? After we work out, then we go, because in the 2 a.m. there's nobody in the gym. We go, we rest a bit, we continue our vidya, we keep on learning for the rest of the time. Then in the evening, about 4 or 5 p.m., we go to the gym again, right? Full barna, everything. Like, we weren't allowed to, change into a shorty. Of course, it was like you had to it's much easier to work out and all that because you're going to sweat, but they're like, koi nahi, we'll wash the stars, all that kind of stuff. But no, you're going to wear a massive damala, you're going to wear your city sahib, you're going to wear your bana. That's how we're going to go. Obviously, it's not about the whole concept of wearing bana in this state. This is just to break down our mind. If you think that you can't go into public to wear your bana feels awkward, they broke that down for every single one of those things in such a way, right? And then we're back into that gym, and now in the evening there is people. So we're here doing our bench press, doing our thing. We look over, Mahapurakh is running on the treadmill, and then we look back, we look again, and the Mahapurakh is off the treadmill. They have all of these other big bodybuilders coming around them, and the Mahapurakh is standing in the middle of them. The Mahapurakh is like, recite this Gurbani Pankti like this. All these massive bodybuilders, they're all standing there, right? And they're all standing there saying, writing this Pankti. So people would come to us, they're like, Bhai Sahab, to see, they thought we were Raggi Jatha or something like that. To see India to aaya. I was like, nah bro, like I speak English, like, you know, and I'm just chilling, you know, just doing my workout, like let me do my thing. And they were like, okay. And then I was like, we're just here with, you know, Babaji is there. We just came to the gym. And he's like, oh cool, let me go speak to Baba. Just him and all his buddies are standing. There's about 10, 15 people. And they're all like, some people are Punjabi, some people are not. They're all standing, they're all reciting Gurbani Panktiyan. The whole gym is around them. And we're just standing there, we're like, wow. Now we understand like what the qualities of a sadhu are. We understand there's nothing, they actually believe, they actually are living that this world is nashwan. They see the jhoot and the sach right in front of them. This katha goes quite long. We can be, like I've sat with Singhs, and all night we sit there, and we probably like, the food is ready, we start talking about Mahapurakh did this, and then like, oh, when I was learning from my Mahapurakh, I learned this. And we're just sharing stories. Pata nahi, it's 2 a.m. and we're still, food is thanda, everything, like everyone who made the food is already asleep. But we're just so into this conversation. You could be sitting nights and nights and nights talking about Mahapurakh because it never ends, right? The more you praise them, the less, right? But the point being, what are those qualities that you need to see and what make up what this sadhu person is? ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਿਖਣੀਆਂ ਆ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ. ਸੋ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਉਹ sadhu ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ is always at da kripalu. He's completely the highest, where there's an overload of mercy. There's an overload of compassion. At kripal. That's the first thing to look for. There's no end to their mercy. Just beyond mercy. Mercy is just overflowing from them. Second thing is nehdro. Nehdro chit. Dro basically means tokkha, or valshal, jinu apa kehte hain. We call it valshal, we call it tokkha, thaggi. So cheating someone, right? Using someone for your own benefit. Taking advantage of somebody. They would never do that. That's not in their system. It's not part of their DNA. Because they've worked, apne aap nu sadh ke, they've taken that out of their system. So complete atkirpal nehdro chit. And the next thing is sahnsilta. Sahnsilta basically meaning patience, or the ability to keep your cool no matter how much somebody is praising you, no matter how much somebody is slandering you, saying stuff against you, no matter how difficult situations get, and no matter how great situations get. They're able to keep their cool no matter what. Sahnshilta bahut vaddi gal hundi hai. That patience is very difficult to find. And this doesn't just mean patience as in wait 5 minutes. The reason why those Mahapurukhs are training their students, because they are able to see that, let's see, this person seems like he'll be able to, and they know that they'll be able to overcome that. Now they're putting it into practicality. Let's see how much patience he has to put them out there for 5 days with the sun shining upon them, and no matter what, I know I'm not going to come. I know that they're there. I'm just going to go and ignore and do my own thing. Right? They're going to go and do those things. And test that Sahnshilta. Sahnshilta is a big thing. patience. Then the next thing is sam, which you're going to tell me the arth of this because we've already explained this. The reason why I explained it before in detail is so that you understand it now. Okay, what is samdam? Samdam adik. Samya mananu vishay vikaram waliyan pasan to rokna. So stopping your mind from going into vices, negativities, vishay vikar. This includes Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Ahankar, Nindya, Irkha, Chugli, Dvesh, all of those things. Stopping your mind. So not just doing it, it doesn't even cross your mind. Your mind, no matter how you do it, your mind isn't able to go into that way. And how Sant Gyani Gurbachan Singh used to do this with their students. How? They used to sit there and when they would do Santhya, imagine Japji Sahib, these Santhyas happening. And one day, the Mahampurkh says that we're going to read through Japji Sahib, but today your job is that whenever you notice that your mind goes off track, not just your physical body is there, your mind is off track and it goes anywhere. We're not speaking about vices, vishivikar or anything. Even if that mind in itself, it goes off and it gets distracted by anything and it's not focused on the actual pankti or the line of Gurbani or the actual word that you're reading, whether you're reading or somebody else is reading it, right? Then you have to stand up, say that my mind is lost, because you're not going to notice when your mind goes off. You're going to notice when you catch yourself that you've gone off, right? It might be, you might only realize when the whole Bani is over. Or you might realize it within 2 minutes. Or you might realize it that the next line. But whenever you realize that your mind has gone off and you were distracted, you're going to stand up and you're going to tell the entire class that this is the last pankti that I remember I was focused on. This is where my train of thought went. And now this is where we are now. And then you have to explain everything that was going on in your mind. Obviously, if you were sitting in the darbar, if you had to sit down and write everything, if your mind was automatically, it was transcribed, every thought that came into your mind while you're in the darbar and you had to go in front of stage and announce that to the Sangat. Imagine how difficult that would be. Whether you're sitting there, maybe you're just sitting there and you automatically just look at somebody that walks in and this. You don't want to announce what thought you had, whether it was a good thought or a bad thought. That would be shameful. Everybody would be very shameful for sharing any thought that they have, whether it's a positive or a negative thought. This concept of sankalp and vikalp goes so deep, very, very deep. But we'll speak about that whenever we get time. बहुत डूंगा विषय है. How jada in Gurbani Mara says kot man kasvatti lave. When your mind goes off, you beat it and you put it back on the track. ठीक है? So those Gursikhs had to stand up and had to announce that this is the last pankti I remember. This is the train of thought that my mind went through, and this is where we are now. No shame whatsoever. So while they're reading, it took them a long time to get through that Bani now, because wherever they would go back to where that pankti was, and they would continue it. So one of those Gursikhs, he's coming and he's reading, and they read Amrita Vela Sachna Vadiyai Vichar. So now the Bani, it's not that they got distracted outside of Gurbani. The arth of Gurbani itself caused their mind to start thinking. The mind automatically thinks, right? Amrit Vela Sachna Vadiyai Vichar. So the word Amrit Vela started thinking that, this morning, Amrit Vela, we woke up and it was amazing. Amrit Vela truly is bahut vaddi vichar hai edi. It's amazing, Amrit Vela, because I experienced amazing things. We read Bani this morning, all of these things happening. And then Amrit Vela, because it was in the morning, I remember before I did that, before reading Bani, we had to do Ishnan. Before we were doing Ishnan, so after I did Ishnan, my kashara, after doing Ishnan, my kashara got wet. So when my kashara is wet, I was trying to find a place where I can hang it to dry. So I couldn't find a place because all the things had already taken showers before me and they'd hung their kashara everywhere. So I had to go outside and hang it outside the railing. And now while I'm sitting here, I realize that it's a little bit windy. And now I'm thinking that, oh my God, is my kashara still hanging there or is it fallen off or not? If not, if somebody else sees my kashera, I'm not going to have a kashera. What's going to happen to tomorrow if I don't have a kashera? I'm going to keep on counting down to lose my kashera. His thought is just going on in kashera now. Then you realize, oh man, we're in like a sankapa already, right? So how crazy is this mind which goes off very, very simply, very, very easily. ठीक है? So ये सारियां गल्लां कोट so just like a cow herder is herding cows and he's going and one of the cows goes off the track and he starts eating grass or starts like whatever, scratching their back against the tree or something. What does the cow herder do? They have to move forward. So they beat the cow and tell it to get back on the track. Maharaj is saying your mind is going to go off, but keep yourself intact and control your mind. You are not the mind. You learn how to control your mind. Win over your mind. Don't let your mind win over you. ठीक है? मन जीता जग जीत. ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਆ. It's everything gets included into that. So some, that's just some, right? Some, if not only going towards Vishyavikar, but anything aside from Akal Purkh's Naam, right? Some, and then Dam we spoke about. Dam is any physical indri, body part, anything that goes towards Vishyavikar, or anything other than Akal Purkh. So we in Gurbani, right, we read that Mere Man, Mere Ram, Sravani Ehna Sunai, Mere Mohan Sravani Ehna Sunai. Right? That why would you listen to anything that is other than O Sache Pacha, your Akal Purkh, the Naam? So any geet, any song that is even not any about Akal Purkh, any music can be good or bad. Right? Music is a tool. Music is a panda. You can put poison in it, you can put nectar inside of it as well. Right? So that geet could be getting you towards, but if you use that panda in such a beautiful way, you put that amrit inside of it, then that in itself, then you're not going towards the Vishyavikar, you're going towards something. Even your mind might not realize it's going towards Vishyavikar, but it might be a distraction, what might be leading towards that eventually. That's why it's very difficult to keep your mind only and only atte pair, all 8 phases of the day focused on Hari Naam. Right? We say, like we spoke about this before, atte pair, all 8 phases of the day, each pair is made up of 3 hours. Right? And if we do Nitnem, we do Rara Sai, we do a little bit of Sangat here and there, we do Kirtan Soila, that'll might equal to maybe about an hour, 2 hours. That's the physical amount you have to put, 2.5 hours. That's the dasma hisai dandaya of your daswand, of your time, of physically actually doing that. But then how can you keep them remembrance happening in all 8 hours? Because Maharaj says, Atte pair tyona. We spoke about what te tyata tyan is, ge gyata gyan. We spoke about that yesterday. But how can you keep that going constantly 24 hours of the day? Ye bahut dunga vishaya. Where you're constantly taking that naam, implementing it, where your mind is unconsciously only, not just listening, while listening to everything else, it's only focused on that one thing. Eventually it comes to such a state where whatever you see, जिथे ਆਪਾਂ ब्रह्म पेखी है, ब्रह्म सुनी है, एक वखाणी है, whatever you see is ब्रह्म, पार ब्रह्म. ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, but ਸ਼ੁਰੂਆਤ ਵਿੱਚ it's not there. We're going to get to Sadhu and the Sangat. You can only get that through the Sadhu and the Sangat, Sadh the Sangat, Sadh Sangat. So dam is stopping your physical indriya, ears, eyes, hands, feet, walking towards anything, speaking, breaking away from those types of friends. All of those things come into this. Sam dam adik, ad meaning things like this sort, etc. Sam dam ad. Then akam is the next thing. Akam is basically without any desire, kamnava. Without any desire, without any kam, without any lust, not only sexual lust, but any sort of lust. Any desire to acquire something, to keep something, any pull that you have towards anything. They have no pull towards anything, the sadhus. The sadhus are without any sort of desire. They're without any sort of simple, like any sort of lust. Akam. They're without they have some dam, right? And they're akam. right? So samdam means that they don't move towards, their mind and the indriya don't move towards that. ठीक है? So they have samdam and they are akam. They are beyond any sort of pull or desire. Samjh aa gayi? Obviously the vyakhya of pull, lust, kamanawa, ibodungi cha galya. We're not going to focus on that now, just write these down. Akam, and then it's mat. One of the Vidhiya matya. They're good consciousness. They have a good strong mind. They're not foolish. You can't trick them in one way or the other. They're aware, they're alert. So those teachings, there was all of these things that we spoke about. We spoke about the inner beauty, the outer beauty, the akal, the gyan, the self-realization. But ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਹੰਕਾਰ ਆ ਸਕਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਖਿਮਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. Right? You need daya. Daya is the root of all of that. It's like the seed of it. Therefore, you go without the sadhu. So now benefits of the sadhu and the sangat. Right? Doubt is dispelled. Mental and physical peace is obtained. Practical and spiritual guidance is given. है ना? अंदर दी मैल ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੀ ਮੈਲ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, because when you go and you die within the sadhu and the sangat, you become part of the sadhu and the sangat. And Guru di sangat, Sat Sangat, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਹੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ. You become ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ. ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਵਸੈ ਜੀਓ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ? So now, we're not going to lengthen all of this stuff too much. The reason why even we decided, just a few sayings like I'm going to say again, we decided to do this small Braham Vidhiya series. It's not complete Braham Vidhiya. It's just an intro to get you guys start to thinking about all of these things. Look at these concepts. So when we speak about sadhu and the sangat, you speak about all of these great things. This is just an intro to what a sadhu is as well. There's granths beyond what sadhu and the literally kede hunde hai. Understanding that, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਚੋਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ in Gurbani, right? ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਕੇ ਆਸਰੇ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਸਿਉ ਰੰਗ ਲਾਏ. You get the true rang through the sadhu and the sangat. Sadhu ਕਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ? We might love to call ourselves eating pizza, going out to a movie and say, ਬਸ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਮੈਂ ਘਰੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ, ਮੈਂ ਬਸ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ. No, you're not with sangat there. ਹੈ ਨਾ? ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ? What type of things are you doing? Because that your thing won't be covered up. You won't get, your ego is not going to be stroked there. I guarantee that. There's no way that if you are going to find sugar there, they guarantee you'll be one of the first persons to be leaving there, be like, this isn't really for me. That's going to be your thought. I don't really think it's for me. Of course it's not for you, right? Because it's only for you, for those people who are willing to let down their guard and actually want to get down. This is where we come back to that very first point that we spoke about on the very first day about becoming a jigyasu. Jigyasu de arth ki hai. If you have that inner thirst, if you have that true bairag, where you're able to give up everything for that one thing, inner thirst, inner desire, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't do anything, you'll be willing to do anything for it. That is true. That is what creates a jigyasu. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੀ ਉਹ ਪਿਆਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਜਾਗ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਹੈ, jigyasu. Jigyasu ਤੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਾਧੂ ਬਣਦੇ ਆ. From a jigyasu comes a sadhu. From a sadhu comes a sant. From sant comes Beyant, which is Brahm. Bhagat becomes the Bhagavan. The sant becomes the Beyant. ठीक है, so ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਆ, it all comes from when you have that desire to learn. So if you guys have this desire to learn here, this is just intro. This is getting you to think about Braham Vidhiya just slightly. Sadhuan di Sangat, Sadh Sangat ke asar hai, Prabh se rang laye, ਉਹ ਅਸਲ ਰੰਗ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਆ? ਲਾਲ ਰੰਗ ਤੇ ਸਕੋ ਲਗਾ ਜਿਸ ਕੇ ਵੜ ਬਾਗਾ ਮੈਲਾ ਕਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਲਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ. It never goes dull. ਮੈਲਾ ਕਦੇ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਨਾ ਲਾਗੇ ਦਾਗਾ. It never dies away. That true rang is not a little bit of emotional stroking that you get and it makes you feel good. Right? That's not real rang. Real rang is where you completely destroy yourself and nothing is left but that rang. Don't expect your ego to be met there. Your ego is going to be destroyed there. It's going to be absolutely tarnished, ripped apart, shredded apart, and that's what's going to make you. Don't ever expect to go into the sadhu and the sangha and not expect them to yell and destroy you and completely go against everything that you possibly thought a sadhu could be like. Because they're doing it for your own, for what they see and how your ankar or whatever issue or whatever thing is stopping you, they can see right through that. And they're going to be trying to help you. Because the sadhu is complete mercy. They're doing nothing except to help you. It's going to be for that sense. Hana? Is karke, these series are just a small little touch to that. But ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਸਲ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆ, ਇਹ ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਕੇ, when we start learning these things, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. So normally when you begin any of this is majority of the stuff we were speaking from Vedanta, we're speaking from other granths, we're speaking about from Gurbani, by Gurdas ji, all of these things we put together. But the main thing here is if you don't make your base Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani, then everything else might not make sense to you. We love to say we understand Guru Bani, we love to say understand Japji Sahib, but the literal meanings of that does not suffice. Because if you ask anybody that reads Japji Sahib on a daily basis, tell me the arth of this body, it's very difficult that they'll be able to do katha of that or even simply explain it to you on the spot, right? You want to be able to understand that, and then through the understanding, when you dive into that with the gyan, you dive into the dhyan of it, it's mesmerizing, it's unbelievable. That's when the true rang odon charda, because then you realize how to take yourself out of that position. So out of all of that, first thing, before any of this stuff is even taught or even started to be taught, first obviously it has to come from completing Santhya of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It comes from completing Santhya of Nityaname. That comes from what? Undergoing back to Moharni, right? Moharni to shuru karna, fir Japji Sahib to shuru karna, fir Panj Granthi da Nityaname, fir 10 Granthi. Right? Then we go into Baivara, then we go into Bhagat Bani, then we go into Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, then we can go into Dasam Maharaj's Bani, do Santhya complete of that. And then whilst you're doing that, once you've completed Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Santhya, then we can start on other Granths, and then you can start doing that. Then you'll be learning from Mahampurkhs, you'll be learning from Sadhus and all of these kind of things. So we teach Santhya here 6 days a week. 6 days a week Santhya is being taught here at the same time. 7:15 every single day. Monday to Saturday. And you can come in whenever you want, because it's not going to be based around whatever the rest of the group is doing. It's going to be based around what you need. ठीक है? So Santhya to bina is very difficult. If you don't want to understand Gurbani, we always want to find shortcuts, but there is no shortcuts. You do it the proper way, right? And you go through reading Gurbani, understanding Gurbani, memorizing Gurbani, reading the way, for example, you go through Japji Sahib Santhya, and you read, every time you read it 25 times, each body, to understand it properly. And when you go through Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Santhya, and every time you go through a Shabad or an Ang, you practice that 25 times, and you take your laziness out, and the alasi that we spoke about, the alasi can't be there, the laziness cannot be there. When you take all of that out and you put everything in towards that, and you actually do with full heart, full attention, read it 25 times, and by the time you complete Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Santhya, might take you a year. Within a year you can complete it, and that'll be equivalent to reading 25 Sahaj parts of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Who knows if somebody in their life is going to do that or not. But by completing Santhya in that way, which you fully understand it, where it might be difficult while you're doing it, but if you complete it, the fruits are there. When you build that sort of understanding, when you go and understand, when you might want to read the Quran one day, you might want to read the Mahagita one day. You can read all of that kind of stuff, but you'll be understanding where the Sach, where the truth, everything, when you just look upon this world, you'll be able to see the Sach and the truth, and you'll be able to see, and you'll be saying, like, you'll be doing Artha Gurabani, but like Maharaj kehndi hai, duniya maqam mein fani. But funny also kind of sounds like funny. Yeah, the world is a little bit funny as well. Right? Duniya maqam mein fani, tahqiq dildani. Anyways, so 8th tak, my only suggestion, the 8 days are here. Reason why I was here in Calgary just for this time, we just thought we'd discuss this, but the point is join those classes wherever you are, come go and learn Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj's Bani. Without that, bahut aukha hai. Theek hai? That is the only asra. Maan taan sab tu hai, ik naam tera main Ullah. Ullah means support, asra. You are the only support, you are the only light of beam that can shine and remove that ignorance. And what is Braham Vidhiya? What is Braham Gyan? It's the realization of self, self-realization. When you realize that the self is Akal Purkh, then you understand everything else, because everything else is Akal Purkh as well. Everything else is Par Brahm. Then everything is Par Brahm. When you understand that, and when you realize that, when you live that, that is what Braham Gyan is. The realization of Akal Purkh, and merging yourself. Because once that realization that Agyan is not there, then the physical body, whether it's there or not, it still will always be there, whether it is or isn't, but you are one with Akal Purkh now. Brahm Gyani ki gat, Brahm Gyani jane. Only the person who is the self-realized will understand what somebody else's self-realization is like. Somebody who doesn't know what Brahm Gyani or what Brahm Gyan is, then they will understand. Because we read in Gurbani as well, we say, Pavani mein jal pavan samaya, jyoti mein jol talal jaya, mati mati hoi ek, ravan har ke badai take. Why do people die? Why do people cry when someone dies? It doesn't make any sense. Because they're saying, Kaun muare, kaun mua, Brahm Gyani mil karo bichara. Who is actually dead? No one dies. When somebody, physical body dies, nobody really dies. They say, look, the pavan goes into the pavan. The jyot goes into the jyot. Light goes back into the light. The dirt that the body turns into ashes, it mixes back into the dirt. Nothing has actually changed. Nothing has actually created or destroyed here. Right? All of this is just there. But then why do people cry? Because nothing is just taking one thing and moving it over. The Brahmagyanis are saying that why do people cry? It doesn't make any sense. Because Kaun Mua, nobody really died. Kaun Mua, nobody died. Brahmagyani milkar bichara. All the Brahmagyanis, people of this understanding, get together and they talk about this kind of stuff. Because it's the realization. When you get into that Sangat, where the conversation is flowing of Gurbani, of that true Brahmagyan that Gurbani is, then that in itself is Brahm. That is in itself Sadhu and the Sangat as well. Take care. So inniyam bintiyam pravan karniya, right? Obviously throughout whatever days, if there's questions or anything, obviously we're answering. We didn't really cover too much into depth about a lot of things. We touched on a lot of things, but all of those things will help you understand when you go and listen to Katha on a regular basis every day, like we should be doing, or having that vichar every single day, then it'll help make sense. But how is Katha done? What are they trying to explain? What is the point? What is the point of where they're coming from? What is the thing that they're trying to help you understand? Why is Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani helping put this puzzle piece through that Shabad in my understanding where I think it's missing? Right? Because I don't understand. You don't understand the outside edges first. When you understand the outside edges of the puzzle, the other puzzle pieces inside are much easier to put inside. Right? That's why my biggest suggestion for you guys, to go further into it, listen to the Katha of complete Japji Sahib. Japji Sahib is the Paudhiyan to Brahm Gyan. ठीक है? So inniyam bintiyam parwan karniya. Sari sangat bilao ji fateh. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
Vaheguru, Vaheguru.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru